DJ Short from Rotoworld here, and we're talking prospects, and who better to bring in to break this down than our prospect expert, Christopher Crawford. Chris, thanks for joining me here. Well, since the last time we talked, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been promoted to the majors, and over the weekend we saw Nick Senzel finally arrive to the majors. I think the timing was a little bit interesting. Of course, I've been waiting for him for a very long time, but has been learning center field, getting reps down there in AAA after returning from an ankle injury. Only played 8 games down there, if I believe that right. So I think the timing was a little interesting there, so I was surprised to see him called up this soon, but no question about the talent there.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the best talents in all of minor league baseball and now Major League Baseball, to be completely honest with you. There's a reason this guy was the second pick in the MLB draft out of Tennessee, a guy who literally just homered about 5 minutes ago for his second time.
Yeah.
Guy who's going to be able to do a lot of things all over the park. But like you said, the timing was a little weird because defensively, the reviews are kind of mixed in center field, and that is a premium position. And usually you want to see a guy like that get as many reps as possible. But the talent, I think, was just too much for the Reds to ignore for a team that wants to compete in 2019. And in turn, I think Senzel is really going to help the Reds, and he's going to really help fantasy owners for sure.
Yeah, I don't think fantasy owners are complaining about the timing, that's for sure. But another call we recently saw, Michael Chavis with the Red Sox, has hit 6 homers, has 13 RBIs, also solid approach, 16 to 11 strikeout to walk ratio. So he's drawing walks in addition to the power. I think the question, though, with Chavis is playing time. He has been playing second base, which I really wasn't sure if he could stick there, but it looks like he's done a decent enough job so far. But Dustin Pedroia on his way back, Eduardo Nunez already back with the Red Sox. I guess if there's, if he's hitting like he's hitting right now, the Red Sox will find a spot for him, but I think it's a little bit tricky.
It's very tricky, and what he's done has been so impressive. The ball, it just jumps off this guy's bat. I mean, if you watch him, he's almost Pete Alonso in that way, where everything he seems to hit just seems to be hit hard, and he uses the whole field. I have some questions about how long this can last. Obviously, he's not going to keep this up all year because otherwise just get Cooperstown ready. But I have some questions about whether or not the hit tool can play as well as it does, because there is some length to that swing. The power is obvious, and he's made some adjustments. This was a former first-round pick, just like Senzel, who took a little bit of time, but now, I mean, as good of third base prospect as there was in baseball before the call-up, I have questions about sticking at second base too. But in the day of the shift, I think there is a chance that he can play the position, at least in the modicum. It's not going to be perfect, but man, that offensive potential is up there. And in that Red Sox lineup, I think he has a real chance for some run production as well.
Hey, Mike Moustakas is playing second base for the Brewers right now, so
that's exactly
and
right.
He's been pretty respectable so far too. Mike Soroka, another prospect we look forward to a call up from the last time we spoke, and he's been dynamite so far with the Braves. 1.14 ERA through his 4 starts, 27 strikeouts, just 8 walks in 23 2/3 innings. Not surprising that he's enjoying the success. I think the question for him has been health, but no question he can make an impact.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite pitching prospects in baseball, and I'm not surprised that he's had success. Once again, the biggest concern with him is the health. Shoulder injuries have a nasty habit of reoccurring. But while he's in the major leagues right now, I can't think of a better he should have ranked higher in my pitching prospects, if we're being completely honest, just because the stuff is good, but his ability to locate it is so underappreciated. It's very difficult to be a prospect who can locate his stuff, kind of like a Chris Paddock, maybe not to the same extent and without that ridiculous changeup, but really good stuff across the board, keeps hitters honest, willing to mix in different types of pitches. Again, the only thing I worry about here is health and whether or not maybe the Braves are a little careful with him, because they have so much pitching depth and there are so many guys below, and I think we'll talk about a couple of them. There's no reason to overwork him. So I do expect to see some times where the Braves gives him some time off, but when he's on the mound and you have a chance to stream him or whatever, he's an absolute must.
As far as Griffin Canning, made his major league debut last week for the Angels, and the line doesn't jump out at you, 3 runs allowed in 4 1/3 innings, but I thought there was still plenty to like here. 6 strikeouts, had 18 swinging strikes in his 82 pitches. Do we think he could stick in this rotation?
I think so. Some of that has to do with the fact that rotation is maybe not a disaster, but not far from it. It's not a good rotation. And in terms of talent, he's as good as any pitcher the Angels have. He's a guy who can miss bats with 4 different pitches, changes arm angles. The issue he had in his start is that he's going to have to get used to the fact that if you work up in the zone, you are going to risk the ball going very, very far. And that happened quite a few times. Not quite a few, but enough to hurt the line and keep him from picking up a win. But I think there were some real positives in that start, and I expect him to be better as the year progresses. There's been some talk that he might get sent down after his next start on Tuesday, but I expect him to stay up. If the Angels are serious about competing, and if you have players like Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani coming back, you should be serious about competing. I think Canning can stick, and I think he's worth a roster ad if he's still available in your leagues.
Agreed. So Nate Lowe, we also saw come up with the Rays last week. Last year was like his first big power year. Mashed 27 homers, 330 batting average, 416 on base. Was off to a strong start in AAA this year. He's never really projected as someone who's necessarily going to give you that 30 homer pop, but certainly can hit for average, get on base. But is he someone we can count on being on the Rays roster all year? Of course, they have tons of moving pieces. Austin Meadows eventually coming back, Joey Wendell as well, G-Man Choi's kind of in that first base DH mix as well. So I think it could be tricky.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's going to be a guy that maybe you see go up and down. But when he's up, he's worth kind of a speculative ad, I think. He is a guy, like you said, who works counts, draws walks, going to hit for some. I think the power is my biggest concern, to be honest. I think he took advantage of AAA pitching is not quite the same thing as Major League pitching, just in case you folks weren't aware of that. He's definitely going to get on base. I think he's going to hit for average. My other concern with him is that I think because of his swing profile, he's going to be a guy who struggles against left-handed pitching. And so I think even if he is up, I think there could be some platoon issues there. But especially in like DFS leagues where he's in the lineup, I think he's a really sneaky good ad because he is a guy who can, for all the reasons we just explained, get on base, hit for average, and 20, 25 homers, not elite for a first baseman, but it's not something to sneeze at either.
Okay, let's get to your list here for this week. Vlad Jr. up in the majors now, Nick Senzel as well. Who's the next big position prospect to watch?
I've got Brandon Rogers making a big leap from number 5 to number 1, and it was really hard this week because I think there are 3 guys who are really close in Rogers, Arias, and Keston Hiura. I just think that Rogers offers the most upside and also a better chance of reaching the major leagues right now because of the situation in Colorado. Guy can hit for average, hit for power. Not going to steal a ton of bases, but you won't really care if he's hitting for average and power that he's not stealing bases. He also, the benefit of being able to play his home games in Coors Field is something that I think you have to consider. I mean, that is the friendliest home park of the friendliest home parks.
Right.
And he's clearly ready. He's hitting in the high 300s or in the mid 300s right now. He's hitting for power. He's also really improved his approach, and I think the Rockies really are going to like seeing that. He was a guy who was pretty, not Udieski Betancourt swinging at everything, but he was a guy who was, you could get him out by putting pitches outside of the zone. Really improved his approach, and I think the Rockies, they're another team that I think is serious about committing, and I would expect him to be up by the summer. I think he's the next big thing.